Buenos días.
Buenos días.
Buenos días.
Buenos días.
Okay, this is part two of our apuntes for section 9.1 in Descubre 9.1. And today we're going to be looking at orthographic stem changers. Yeah, orthographic stem changers. Orthographic, don't write anything down yet. Orthographic stem changers. Okay? AKA, these are more irregulares del pretérito. Yes? The good thing is that these irregulares at least come in groups. Okay? I call these the funnel verbs, and that'll make a lot more sense to you in just a moment, the funnel verbs. Okay? So, to catch you up, it is very important that you've already watched part 1 of the video. And in part 1 of the video, which you guys will be doing tomorrow, you have, on the outside, you have your regular preterite endings with the signals. On the back, you have ser, ir, dar, and ver, which are your irregulars. And then you also have your zarkargars. Okay? So all of the back will be filled out in part what? 1 of the video, part 1. The inside of your foldable should be completely empty right now. The inside of your foldable should be completely empty. And this is going to be the new content for you guys, okay? This, the idea of this foldable is that this is your master cheat sheet. Because we've spent a lot of time on the preterite just memorizing how to conjugate it, but we're not very quick at recalling it now to actually use it. Yes? Would you agree with that? You guys can sit there for the test and you cram for the test, you know how to conjugate them all for the test, and then the next week I ask you how to conjugate something and we go, oh, right? Yes? Okay, at this point, the stuff on the backboard, or on our review on the back side of this paper, needs to be automatic, and we need to start working that one towards automatic. This stuff is going to be our brand new content, which we're going to start working on now. Bien? Yes?
Yes.
See? Okay, these orthographic changers come in tres grupos, okay? We have tres grupos. So go ahead and head the heading for your 3 columns. You're going to have the V group, the V grupo, okay? You're going to have the J grupo, the J grupo, and you're going to have the Weirdo group. I just call it the Weirdo group because it doesn't exactly have a common letter. The Weirdo group. Or Miss Sheldon calls it the big group. Either one is fine, okay? So go ahead and title your 3 columns just like that, okay? Now, like I said, the nice thing about these is that there's going to be a whole group that is going to all conjugate exactly the same, okay? And this first group, the V group, we have 3 verbs. We have tener, andar, and estar. We have tener, andar, and estar, okay? Take a moment and wait to write your notes until I explain this. That way you can see how much room it's going to take and what you're going to want to write down, and you don't have to do a bunch of erasing on your foldable, okay? So, ¿qué significa tener?
To have.
To have. ¿Qué significa andar?
To ride.
Do we know what andar is? What was your guess?
To ride.
It's not to ride. Es un sinónimo para cambiar, or para caminar. Caminar. It's a synonymous for caminar.
To walk.
Andar is to walk. Oh, you're thinking andar en patineta. Yeah, that one isn't a direct translation, but it does mean to skateboard. Okay? Andar is to walk. Tener is to have. And ¿qué significa estar?
To be.
To be. To be. Okay? Let's just a quick reminder here. The preterite tense is for what kind of actions?
Things that happened in the past.
Things that have happened in the past. Happened in the past. A lot of the times those actions end in what for English? What do they usually end in? ED, right? I jumped. Okay? But just like in English, you don't say I righted, you say you wrote, right? These are our irregulars for that, okay? When you conjugate each of these verbs, they all have the same set of endings, okay? They all have the same set of endings, but tener is going to change orthographically to tuve. Andar is going to change to anduve. And estar is going to change to estuve. Do you see why we call it the V group? They all have a V. Okay, so go ahead and copy down your 3 verbs. I want you to copy down what do each of them mean in English. What does their infinitive mean? Okay, and then what do they change for? What do they change to? This is the stem change that they make. And then I want you to copy down the endings. Okay, then you're going to copy down the endings. While you're doing that, I want you to pay very close attention to the endings and think about our regular ER and IR endings. Okay, and see if you can make any observations about this group of endings here. Okay, so take one moment and do that. And when you're ready to go, I'll know you're ready to go because your pencil will be down. Okay, we have tener turns to, what does it turn to? Tuve. Andar turns to anduve, and estar turns to estuve. Each one of these has a V in their new stem. Okay? And the endings are, repite, iste, o, imos, istes, ieron. Okay? We have repite, iste, o, imos, istes, ieron. What do you notice about these endings? What observations could you make?
AR. Verbs.
Okay, they have some AR endings. What are your AR endings?
E.
The A and the O, right? Those are AR endings. What else could you tell me? Which ones are our ER and IR endings? Iste is one of them. Imos, istes, and ieron are ER and IR. So it has a mixture of ER and IR endings. Just like, look at, we have 2 AR verbs in this group and 1 ER verb. Okay? All right, so what else do you notice about these endings? What do we not have any of?
No accents.
No hay acentos. There are no accents. These verbs are so weird, they have such a weird change that we don't even need an accent to tell us we're in the preterite tense. Okay? Now, we're just going to start with these 3 verbs. Okay? Tener, andar, and estar. But I want you to keep in mind, the verb tener, what does tener mean? To have. A verb like mantener, does anyone know what mantener means? Mantener? Mantener is to maintain, okay? And it has tener in it, so it's also going to conjugate like these, okay? So let's start with andar. We're going to do at least one example. So you're still in the first column, and we're going to conjugate andar. Okay, so we're going to andar, what does it mean?
To walk.
To walk. To walk. What does it mean in the preterito?
Walk. To have.
Walked, right? Walked. Okay, and we write down our personal pronouns. Yo, tú, él, ella, usted, nosotros, vosotros, ellos, ellas, and ustedes. Yes? Okay? Now, normally, what's the first thing we do when we conjugate a verb?
Right. Until the ending.
Okay, we chop the ending, and then Jordan says we write down the stem, the part that's left after the ending, right? Okay, so we chop off the AR. Is our stem going to be and? No, according to this funnel, what is our stem going to be? Anduve. So you need to write down, you're going to write down, would it be easier if I switched colors? Anduve. Anduve, 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 anduve. okay? And then you're going to do what? What's the last step then?
Add the endings.
Add the new endings, okay? So we have, repite todos, anduve, anduve,
Anduve.
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 I walked, anduviste,
Anduviste.
you walked. Anduvo.
Anduvo.
Do we need an acento?
No.
No hay acento. Anduvimos.
Anduvimos.
Anduvimos, muy bien. Anduviste.
Viste.
Anduvistes, muy bien. Anduvistes. And anduvieron. Anduvieron. Okay? At this point, I'm not expecting that you've memorized this. You've just been introduced to it. But right now, if you had your notes, would you be able to conjugate this verb? And do we all understand? Are there any questions about the conjugation of this? No? Okay, so let's see if we can do this in our head. Put our pencils down for un momentito. And we have repite. Tuve.
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 Tuviste.
Tuviste.
Tuvo.
Tuvo.
Tuvimos.
Tuvimos.
Tuvistes.
Tuvistes.
Tuvieron.
Tuvieron.
Tuve, tuviste, tuvo.
Tuve. Tuviste. Tuvo.
Tuvimos, tuvistes,
Tuvimos. Tuvistes.
tuvieron.
Tuvieron.
Okay, same thing with the star. Let's do estuve,
Estuve.
estuviste,
Estuviste.
estuvo,
Estuvo.
estuvimos,
Estuvimos.
estuvistes.
Estuvistes.
That's a fun one. Estuvistes,
Estuvistes.
estuvieron,
Estuvieron.
estuve, estuviste, estuvo,
Estuve. Estuviste. Estuvo.
estuvimos,
Estuvimos.
estuvistes,
Estuvistes.
estuvieron.
Estuvieron.
Muy bien, excelente. Now, when I learned these verbs, I didn't have any kind of a pattern. And I'm not going to lie, the only way I learned these verbs is because it sounded right or it sounded wrong. Because my little senorita would be like to me all the time. Okay? I learned trial and error. You guys get to put them in categories here. Okay? So, any questions on this group? We can move on? See? Okay, muy bien. And I'm going to erase here to give us a little more room. Our J group. Our J group. Can anybody think of a verb that ends in CIR? Anybody? Go around, if you will, because we're recording. Okay. Can anybody think of a verb that ends in CIR? C-I-R. Huh? Traducir. Good man. Traducir. So this is your second column now. Your second column. We have traducir. ¿En qué significa traducir? Traducir. When I tell you to traducir las frases al español. Translate, right? Traducir means to translate. Traducir is to translate. Okay. How about, what's another one for to drive? Yeah, conducir. We have conducir. Okay. Conducir. And conducir was what? ¿Qué significa?
To drive.
To drive. ¿Qué es un sinónimo? What's a sinónimo?
Conduct.
A conductor is a driver, and that's how you remember what conducir means. Do you guys know the other one? Manejar. And you drive with your manos, with your hands. Sorry, manejar. Okay, another one that ends in cir. Decir. Muy bien. And ¿qué significa decir? To say or to tell. Muy bien. To say or to tell. To say or to tell. Okay? There's one more that we're going to add, and it's producir. Producir. Okay? And producir, what does it look like? To produce, right? It can mean to produce in Spanish, but this is also a word that you're going to use, like if you get pulled over by la policía, when you're conduciendo, exactly, you take something out. He could say, necesitas producir tu carnet de conducir. You need to produce your,
Or provide.
or AKA provide, show me, take it out. Yes, your driver's license. So producir, however you want to define that. Producir. To produce or to generate for someone, show for someone, show to someone, to take something out to show to someone. Okay? Producir. Producir. Okay? And the next verb we're going to have in this group also, notice all of these verbs in what?
CIR.
CIR, right? There's one more in the group and it's kind of the weirdo. Traer. ¿Qué significa traer? To bring. Traer is to bring. Can you use traer when you're bringing a person?
No.
No, this is like when you bring what? Something, not someone. So maybe we should actually say that. To bring something, not, absolutely not someone. Bien? Make sure you distinguish that. Preguntas? No hay preguntas? Okay. Do you see my, oh, it's right here. I want to make sure that we have all the ones that you guys need. Okay?
But could you say, like, if it was like a prisoner that you're bringing somewhere, would you say you could try
Llevar.
them somewhere?
Llevar.
Oh.
Llevar. Okay? Yes?
Didn't you say that they end in seer?
All of these ones end in seer, but this one does not. But it's a part of what kind of a group?
J-group.
The J-group. The J-group, okay? So let's check out and see what these change to. Traducir is going to change to tradu. Conducir is going to change to condu. This is my favorite group, the Jota group. Jota. It's my favorite letter. Jota. What is Jota?
J.
J. Mm-hmm. What is decir going to change to, do you think? D. I. J. D. Okay. Producir is going to change to produ. And trier is going to change to tradu. Oh no, sorry, that's traducir. What am I doing? Tra. I spaced out for a moment. Tra. Okay? And then, on the endings of each of these, okay, the endings, traje, trajiste, what's the only difference?
Oh.
The eron. Instead of being ieron, it's just eron. And it's the way it sounds. It's a phonetic thing. Tradujeron, tradujeron.
Trajeron.
Yeah, that wouldn't sound good. Trajeron, condujeron. Okay, so we have repite. Trajeron, trajeron, condujeron, dijeron, produjeron, trajeron. Bien? Okay, which verb would you like to conjugate for our example? Decir, that's probably one of the most common ones. And when you tell something to somebody, what do you need? A personal muy bien. So we have decir, we're going to write down decir. ¿Qué significa decir? To say or to tell. Okay, to say or to tell. And I'm not going to write down my personal pronouns this time, but if you need to write down your personal pronouns, please do that. Okay. A ver. Cesar. What is our stem going to change to for decir?
Okay.
Huh? What's the stem? What's the orthographic change? When we chop off the IR, we're not going to put down de se. What are we going to put down?
IJ.
Mm-hmm. D-I-J. 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 Okay. And then our last step, same as always, Mr. Paco, what is it?
Put the endings.
You need to add your endings, okay? And you might want to underline the eron part just in your brain so you make sure, because it's really easy to get on a roll and then not remember to do that. Okay? So we have, repite todos, dije,
Dije.
dije,
Dije.
dijiste,
Dijiste.
dijo,
Dijo.
dijimos,
Dijimos.
dijistes.
Dijistes.
That's fun. Dijistes.
Dijistes.
Dijeron.
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 You're just going to repeat after me? Whatever I say. What is it?
Dijeron.
Dijeron. Muy bien, repite. Dijeron.
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 Tradujeron.
Tradujeron.
Condujeron.
Condujeron.
Dijeron.
Dijeron.
Produjeron.
Produjeron.
Trajeron.
Trajeron.
¿Todo bien? Okay, muy bien. And by decir, in your example sheet, I want you to write down, what did you say again we need? If we're telling something to a person or to a pet, what do you need? Okay, you need the personal ah. Okay, when telling a person or pet, you need the personal ah. Now, this is actually a verb that's also very often going to go with an IOP. IOPs, indirect object pronouns, what questions do they answer? To whom or for whom? So I tell a story, to whom do I tell that story? To you, to him, to her. So this decir is going to have a lot of IOPs with it. So you maybe want to write that down. Maybe, perhaps, possibly, that might be potentially a good idea. See? Okay. Any preguntas? Or can we move on?
Move on.
Todo bien? Okay. I need the rest of my magnets. Does anyone see my magnets? No?
Do you want me to take
Yeah, would you mind stealing a couple from there? Okay, and go ahead and take a moment and start copying down our weirdo group. We have hacer. What does hacer mean?
Make. Well,
To make or
to say.
To do.
to do. To make or to do. Have you guys heard me say, ¿Qué hiciste durante el fin de semana? ¿Qué hiciste? What did you do during the weekend? Muchas gracias, señor. I should probably put this down, huh? You want to get the other side for me? Gracias. Okay. Gracias. Okay, hacer is to do or to make. Okay? And hacer is going to turn to is. 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 H-I-C. Is. Do we ever pronunciar la H? Nunca, nunca, nunca. ¿Verdad? Never, never, never. Okay? Querer. ¿Qué significa querer?
To want. Or
To want or it can also be to love, okay? To want or to love. And for right now, we're going to leave it at that. Querer is going to turn to quis. Quis. Q-U-I-S. Quis. Quis. Okay, poder. ¿Qué significa poder? To be able to. To be able to. Okay? In the past tense, what is it going to be? Could. You could, and we're going to actually make a note. You could and you did. Because think about this. In English, sometimes when I tell you, well, I could correct all of your essays. Do you know if I did? In Spanish, we don't have that problem. If I use the verb poder in the preterite tense, it means I could and I did. Could and I did. Okay? When I tell you, yo pude corregir todos los exámenes, I could correct all the examens, you know I could and I did. I succeeded in doing that. So what would no poder mean? You couldn't. Maybe you tried, but you were unable to do it. Yeah? Okay, poder. Now, poder is going to turn to pud. Poder is going to turn to pud. Now, this one is really easy to mix up with poner. So just remember, poder has a D in the infinitivo, and its new stem has a D in the infinitivo. Okay, so poder is going to turn to pud. Yes? Okay, poner. Poner, like poner la mesa. What is poner la mesa? Do you guys know that
To
one?
set the table.
To set the table, poner la mesa. How about poner la radio?
To tune the radio.
To turn on. Remember, poner can be to put, to place, or to turn on. Okay? Poner is going to turn to pus. P-U-S. Pus. So I could tell you, oh, ayer, durante la clase, yo puse la música de bebé. For this song, for this lesson, you guys are going to get this song by Nelly Furtado and Juanes. It is going to be stuck in your head for the rest of your life. You're going to be singing this as a senior. You're going to be like, te busqué durante. Yeah, you will. It's going to be great. So, get ready for that. Okay, we have venir. ¿Qué significa venir? To come. So what is that going to mean in the past tense then? Came. When I tell you muchos estudiantes vinieron al partido, many students came to the game. Puedes cerrar la puerta, por favor? Venir is going to turn to vin. Saber is what? ¿Qué significa saber?
No.
To know. Now, can you know-ed something in the preterite tense, gentlemen? Can you know-ed something in the preterite tense?
Yeah.
I know-ed it? No, you found it out. Okay, pause the video. Adios.